I'm defiant. Hard labor, I came here to modify the system. Take them down if they ain't listening. Straight demolition. From young, everything resistant. Good times I don't really miss them. Gotta pay the cost, no tick. Wick, this hard labor and I'm kicked. Never fit in with the crowd or got into politics. You can tell I'm built different. Trust me, it'll be a sequence of events if you touch me. Even when the women do it love. I've been eye to eye with great people, but you'll be mistaken if you put another one above. Hello everyone, welcome to This Week in Tyranny, the most hardcore news show on earth. It's, what day is it? It's June 2nd, 2024, it is Sunday. About noon, there's a carnival outside this time. It was a party last time, so if you hear any noise, that's what it is. I'm not doing ambiance with music, but anyway, I'm your host, Conrad Rogas. We're gonna get this one kicking. It's episode 78 of This Week in Tyranny, and this one's about how to help Donald Trump and how we can help Trump get freed, how you can help him get freed, if that's what you're interested in. So, jokes aside, I'm going to talk about this issue. It's a big issue, right? He is the first president to be convicted of a felony, 45th president of the United States from 2017 to 2021, and convicted felon. That is how he is listed if you look him up on Google, on Wikipedia, and it's pretty funny, they're listing him like he's Al Capone or something, right? This guy, he's a big bad, he's a felon, so everybody's having fun with that. Who doesn't like him? The media, of course, is laughing it up. But what about the people who support Donald Trump? Which is a lot of people, most of the people I deal with on a daily basis like Trump, and there are reasons to like him. People who aren't totally liberal-minded, totally bought into agendas. They have some sort of an affinity for him, or at least they don't, they're not in this cult of thinking, oh my God, he's the worst, he's a Nazi. Anyway, he's got a sentencing coming up July 11th because he was just convicted of a felony. He's facing 4 years in jail, although he's not expected to face jail time. Anyway, Donald Trump was convicted of making a payment that was an illegal campaign contribution, right? But that's actually what was alleged. That's what his lawyer went down for. For him, it's basically that he covered up a financial payment with the intent to commit another crime. So that's why they got him for a felony, even though in the grand scheme of things, what he did, it was not right. It's not classically a crime. It's definitely not a felony. But they got him for financial crimes, which is what they happens. They can get any of us for financial crimes, and I'll talk about that. That is the key issue here. So anyway, he's not expected to face any jail time, but he might. You never know. So we're going to talk about him, how you could help him out. His lawyer, Michael Cohen, was convicted and sentenced to 3 years. He is actually facing jail time, and he was sentenced for facilitating a $150,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, the porn star Stormy Daniels. Her real name, Stephanie Clifford. Of course, they had a sexual encounter together, right? Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump. Everybody knows about that. And anyway, he paid her money to keep it quiet so that it doesn't come out and influence the campaign in the 2016 election. So his lawyer that did this, he came clean about this. He originally admitted to it, and he got convicted of it because he, of course, was the middleman for that payment to Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, which is funny because Clifford is the big red dog, right? Clifford the big red dog. And it's just hilarious, the red MAGA hats, everything Trump being the red candidate, and it's the orange man against, Clifford the big red dog. Clifford is interesting because that children's story, which according to Wikipedia anyway, he, the creator, wrote 78 Clifford books. There were 2 more that were published after his death, but I don't count that because if he doesn't publish it, then it's not, his work. So 78. This is episode 78. There are 78 tarot cards. But that's not the point. What's interesting is that Clifford is the big red dog, and the reason he became so big and enormous, just like a friendly red dog, is because His owner, the girl that raised him, the 8-year-old Elizabeth was her name, Emily Elizabeth or something like that. He grew so big because she loved him so much, and he actually grew to be so big because of her love and care. Well, that's interesting. It's the same thing with our country. It's the same thing with anything we do. The way you make things grow and become substantial is with the time and care you put into it. And really, that is the intro. And now we're going to get into how to actually, help Donald Trump, how to take your country back, and how to really take your life back and put that time and care in to get the outcomes we want. So people have talked about all kinds of different things, how much this is a witch hunt, how much this trial is politically targeted, how much is corrupt. Okay, we all know this, guys. You should know this, especially you guys that are older than me. How many times have you seen this? Oh my God, a trial can be politically motivated. The media can be skewed towards one person as opposed to another. Oh my God. So you want to point out hypocrisy, you want to point out liberal ideologies, kind of like I did in the first 2 minutes. Well, that's not going to get it done, okay? Number one, how you help Donald Trump, how he could have helped himself, is you got to be consistent. You got to point it out. Look, modern business laws are the problem. Taxes and regulations are the problem. The SEC as a whole, the Security Exchange Commissions, most people, the Security Exchange Commission, most people don't even have a problem with that existing. I do. Who gets the right to police these scammers and financial crimes? Who's to say what a financial crime is? A lot of people just let that go by. You don't touch that, but I got a problem with the entire corporate business finance law system. I don't agree that this guy should get jail for this. Something like illegal campaign contributions. Well, who's to say they're illegal and why? And what is the objective basis for that? See, these are the real issues here. And if he would speak out about this, he would be in a much better position. If he would just be real about it and speak about things as they are, the way he spoke about things as they are in 2016, which is the reason he got elected, if you stick to that, you could get somewhere here, but he doesn't. But because Mr. Trump, he never spoke out about these laws and conventions. Why? Because he has worked within them his whole life to become a very rich man. And it's good. It's fine. I'm glad he became rich and wealthy. But, he didn't have a problem with those laws and those conventions then. He played the lawyer games then. And that's the problem here. He didn't argue in principle. He has said nothing to indicate that he thinks that this law is a wrong and meaningless law. So therefore, he only disagrees with its selective enforcement, right? He has never said that, you should be able to make a payment to anybody to influence them for any reason, as long as it's not done under duress. He never said that. He just said that it's unjust what they're doing to him because, so he's arguing subjectively, and that's why we lose these things, and that's why he doesn't deserve a vote. See, at this point in history, 2024, after so many lies and so many betrayals, the only candidate who would ever deserve a vote from me, from you, is somebody who speaks in terms of principles, not selectively enforcing the rules, not tilting the system, adjusting the current system to make it more right. That's not going to work. The only person that's in the world currently who is like that, who is arguing principles, is actually Javier Milei from Argentina. Now, I don't trust him and I don't expect him to be successful. But based on what he says, he absolutely deserves consideration for leadership based on what he says. He talks about fundamental principles of what? Of property and finance. Okay? He is the only one who actually says you don't need all these government agencies. You can clear them all out. You can cut the government by 90% is what he says. Donald Trump never did that. He says we need to drain the swamp, right? But when it comes to this administration, that administration, He never said anything bad about it. He never said we need to clear them out. No, he said they're doing a good job. The FBI is doing a good job. CIA is doing a good job. It's that we need to, get them to act on behalf of America and not what? The globalist Democrat Party? That's another thing. He didn't call them by name. He doesn't correctly identify the system of control that is taken over. That is a globalist system on both parties. He hasn't really pointed that out. He hasn't done it well. So, anyway, Trump's attorney now is Todd Blanche, and I thought that was another that was another fun thing, because Blanche, carte blanche means blank slate. Todd Blanche means white, like it means the color white. So his attorney right now is Todd Blanche, which is white. So we got Stephanie Clifford the big red dog, Todd White. We've got the orange man, Donald Trump. That's just funny. So his attorney has said there's nothing wrong with trying to influence an election. It's called democracy, he said during his opening statement. They put something sinister on this idea as if it was a crime. You'll learn that it's not. So that's what his lawyer, Todd Blanche, has said. And I agree. But that is not what everybody said when it came to the 2020 election. Right? Then it was 2,000 mules, voting machines, social media coordination, Dinesh D'Souza, and all the thing with the 2020 election. Did all that stuff happen? Absolutely. And that's my point. It's a dirty game. Yes, it's a dirty game. And yes, the Democrats are dirtier. But now you're crying, it's like you're crying about the rules when you've both done the same thing. So if one side fires 50 shots and the other side fires 2 shots, that's still a shootout. Right? You have no moral high ground there because you're both playing the game. So now you want to say that there's nothing wrong with influencing an election. But that's not what you said 4 years ago. See, the only way to win a situation like this is to be honest. And this is my whole point, is to come clean. Trump should just be honest and real about this. He made the payment, so what? Yes, I paid Stormy Daniels to hide this because I had to hide it. He had to hide it because if he didn't, then he would either be punished for an action that wasn't wrong at all, right? He didn't assault this woman. He didn't coerce this woman. She herself has said that, and it's smart of her that this was a consensual encounter. And he paid her not for what happened between them in the bedroom. He paid her for not making money, going public with the story, for not publishing the story at a time where he was in an election, because that would of course discredit him, and it would of course wreck his chances of becoming the president. So there's nothing wrong with this. That's not a crime. But and now if he didn't hide it and it would have been made public, then then something that cost him personally $150,000 to make an agreement to make something private, because that agreement would be to make something private. But what's the point of that if now you're supposed to list it on your financial expenses? It would have come out. So both parties are agreeing to keep it quiet. There is no third party here. Why should he list this on some kind of financial statements? Why should he get taxed on this? Or why should he have to report it? Right? Why is the government a third party in the bedroom? I talk about this all the time. Is that right for the government to be involved in what you pay somebody to do on your couch or your bed? No, it's not right. It's wrong in principle. But Mr. Trump and the previous 44 presidents have never argued against taxation and financial laws in principle. They've never argued against those taxes for private exchanges like that. You pay somebody $10,000 for whatever, and you have to report it for what? It's private. There's no business here. So what if he has a business? Why should he report that? Why should he have to? They never argued against that, and all of them, including the Revolutionary General George Washington, support taxes because of the belief. It comes down to this. It's the belief in the enforcement of paying back debts. You guys believe that that's a thing. You guys believe that if you make an agreement and you borrow this much money and I agree to pay you back, you think that if he doesn't pay you back, then you can come assault him or beat him up and throw him in jail to get your money back. Now I behave that way too, in the streets. So if somebody did something like that to me, I would I would go do that, and that would be my moral justification. But I was playing around in the streets, right, where the use of force is standard. So well, all I'm saying is taxation is a gangster's world, but you guys want to act like, no, that's not gangster behavior. That's normal behavior. That's civilized behavior. It's not. You support these taxes, you support this government, you believing in gangster behavior, and that's all right. Look, I got no problem with gangster behavior. I've been on both sides of it. But don't make it something it's not. Right? Now I've come to the other side now. I'm acting like a civilized person. I only believe in civilized behavior, and that's what I'm trying to get done in the world. But anyway, the only reason America has taxes and has had them since they've won their independence in the Revolutionary War in the 1770s, 1780s, is because America borrowed money to win the war to get free in the first place. Or at least that's the given reason. That's what they say is the reason they implemented these original taxes, because they had to pay back France, they had to pay back the Dutch bankers, they had to pay back some more people, right? And people talk about money being a system of slavery, and I've talked about it. I'm not walking those words back. It is. But more accurately, it's not money itself that's the problem and enslaving us. It's really the idea of loans and interest rates. And more accurately than that, what enslaves us is the belief that force can be used to punish a financial crime. And controversial view for me, it's not. It's just really not under natural law. It's not objectively moral to hold a gun to somebody's head because they didn't pay you back. Because really, they didn't take anything from you. You made an agreement. You put your money out there, and yes, you're expecting them to keep their word, but if they don't, they never actually took that money out of your pocket. You put your money on the table and made an agreement, a private agreement, and then they broke it. So you're still dealing in the world of private agreements. So now if you want to get your money back, you're going to have to do it the gangster way. Look, if I trust someone with my phone and they lose it, I can't make them pay me back. I can ask them, but I can't forcibly take anything from them and claim natural law protection. I can't claim that my property was taken because it wasn't. Loans are the same. It's a trust basis, and they should be honored. But if they aren't, that's on you for trusting an untrustworthy person. And that's the part of capitalism that needs to go. And leave free market only. Free market only. And you guys don't want to live in that world, I know. But I'm just talking, these are the principles now. Yeah, and bottom line, no, he should not be in jail. Not Cohen or Trump. I mean, let's keep it real, guys. This is not a crime. And you guys want to talk about criminal justice reform. I don't mean you guys. Like, everybody wants to talk about criminal justice reform. Like, politicians talk about this, Democrats talk about this. So they talk about the criminal justice reform, like, don't lock up these drug offenders. I agree. But what about this? Why is this a crime? I'm against, the point I'm making is that people have begun to empathize with, like, street criminals getting harsh drug sentences the way they used to. Like 20 years ago, you'll get like 10 years, or in other countries, you'll get like 10 years for having some weed. Absolutely, that should not happen. But also, white-collar crime. Nobody has sympathy for white-collar criminals. Nobody has sympathy for these guys who evade taxes. I have sympathy for these guys. You big-time tax evaders that get away with making tens of millions of dollars and pay no taxes on it. Great job. I really appreciate that. I don't think it's a crime. Why is this a crime? He's hiding this because what? Because taxes, right? In the case of Cohen and Trump, they're hiding it because of taxes, but nobody has the right to tax that. If you want to say, okay, corporate expenses and everything, but this is a private agreement. So nobody should know about this. So taxes or media demonization, right? He's avoiding the media finding out about this and making him look like an idiot. But wait, who deserves the right to demand payment records? like a public record for private interactions. And again, this is the third party in private interactions. It used to be the church, it used to be the king, and now it's federal administrations. So you got to argue in principle. So don't just say why me. Don't just say why me. They're against me. Not, now he's saying. I heard him say that he's fighting for the Constitution. But if you're fighting for the Constitution, fight for it for real. Don't just say why me. He should point out this is what politicians do when it comes to invading countries and killing people, like real things that hurt other people. All he did was have a consensual encounter. You got to own this a little bit more. It's going to make you more, endear you more to the people, the way it was with him 8 years ago. And people don't see that this whole Trump trial has been a philosophical checkmate. You guys aren't seeing, you look at liberals, you see how dumb they are, but you're not seeing that, the people playing the chess, they beat you. They got you in checkmate. And this is what I was telling you guys, all you conservative people. I love you guys. Some of you guys are my family members. Some of you guys I work with. But I was telling you, don't vote. Wasn't I saying that? Elections don't matter enough. They matter, yes, they have an effect. They have an effect on gas prices, general trends of what decisions are going to be made, what policy is going to be adopted, but they don't have a sufficient effect to sacrifice your power and freedom to go drop that ballot and talk about it and go defend somebody. And while I was doing that, you were talking about election integrity. You were trying to tell me how much of an injustice it was, what happened in 2020, and to watch this and watch that, and how much, Trump was wronged. And you spent all your time doing that. You spent 4 years doing that. And look, and if you honored that, then you need to honor the Trump conviction, because if not, then you look like a hypocrite. Not in reality, but in the way it looks to most people. You were talking about election integrity. You were talking about, this process has to be done the right way. Now you have to accept that this process was done the right way. It was a trial. It was a whole thing. They went through with it, and what? And now you are where you are. Now, I don't honor any electoral process because I give it no authority in my daily life. I allow no one to exert any force over me, no matter what process got them there into that magical position. So you think that we need to honor that electoral process, and he won, and whether you like him or not, he's the president. Well, that's what it got you. It got you this sham trial, and now you gotta eat crow. It's your time. Now you say it wasn't right, it wasn't just. Well, where were you saying that 4 years ago? Big time philosophical checkmate from the puppet masters here. And it's all because people focus on politics instead of philosophy. You gotta talk about philosophy. And Trump continued to maintain his innocence, railing against what he called a rigged, disgraceful trial, and emphasizing that voters would deliver the real verdict on election day. That's what he said, and I like that. But what he's actually said, it's funny. Here's the thing: it's the exact same thing. What will happen if he wins the election? It'll be the same thing as this rigged, disgraceful trial. It's a claim of power based on nothing, right? Support of a number of people. That's all an election is. This many people said we want to go through with it. Same thing as a trial. 12 people on that jury voted against Trump, and in November, if 200 million people vote for Trump, what is the difference in principle? What is the difference in philosophy? What gives them the right? You say it's the Constitution. But, what gives the Constitution that right? You have to go to the principles and trace it down to where is your claim derived from? And the only claim, and the reason the Constitution is the best document we have as far as a system of government, is because it derives its claim of power from the natural world, the objective world, and the Creator, which all that is when you refer to the Creator, the reason that gives you your rights is because you can't you can't say the ends justify the means. It gives you like a trump card over anybody that will make a claim over your property. If you really want to make a solid claim to property, it needs to have a transcendental link. It needs to be hooked into the unseen world, because no matter what, you maintain your claim to property. That's kind of a digression. That's the reason the Constitution works. That's the reason the Declaration of Independence works. And that's the only real law that will stand the test of time. It's objective law. So what's the difference here? The election or this Trump conviction? There is none. Neither process derives legitimacy from objective law. Objective law is the only law that exists in both the mind of man and the natural world. And when they talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And when they say God-given rights, when they say God-given, all that means, it's not a religion thing, it's not a faith thing, it's about the mind of man. Where does it come from? Does it come from the natural world? No, it doesn't. It's different. It's different than anything in the universe. The idea of thinking, right? The idea of consciousness, and this man's mind, and what it can do, thinking of principles, and the idea of love and everything. We're talking about both the mind of the human and the actual world, all of the animals, all of the resources, the link between them. Objective law is the link between them. It's the only thing that can transcend that duality. And I'm not a dualist, right? And this was the whole problem with Kant, with all these modern philosophers. There's this dualism between like the heart and the spirit of man, and then the real world. And that's where government comes in. That's where tyrants come in. That's why you have tyranny. It's because it's this belief in dualism, and that somehow you don't have rights here and here. No, I have both. I have rights here, and there's a link between them. And that's objective law. That's the only law that is real. It's called the law of property, which I call the axiom of existence. All it is this. It's a statement that existence exists. And it's like the most basic thing. It seems like it's redundant, but it's not. It's the non-dualism. It's non-contradiction. It's the law of non-contradiction. A equals A. That's the law of property. And now, as a result of that, the corollary laws that you have is that, okay, so A equals A and existence exists, so that anyone who does exist is his own owner, which means your body is your property. That's one. And two, so since your body is your property and everybody else's body is their property, then you can do anything except take away or damage somebody else's body or property. And that's never been a question. The only question has always been, how far does the claim of property extend? Right? Does it extend to your keyboard? Does it extend to your phone? Does it extend to your ideas? Right? So that's the only gray area. But no matter how far you extend it, there's no way a man could be put in prison if he never took anybody's property and he never caused damage to anyone's property. So Trump, he should not be in jail. Or even, he should not pay $1. My point is, it's not a crime. It doesn't matter if he's executed or put in jail, or that he has to give 1 penny away. You can't take something away from him because he never took something away from anyone else in this case. So that's unless you make the claim that there is some kind of collective share of property. And this is what they're doing. They're saying, no, elections are a process that need to have integrity, and if you pay somebody and you bribe them, right, then we have like a right to fair processes. Yeah, and that's the claim they're making. And that's why I don't believe bribes should be illegal. It's a private transaction. The problem is, don't give people power where you need to be now thinking, okay, if somebody influences them, then I'm in trouble. If we didn't give our power away, it doesn't matter who pays who. We would handle our own. So that collective share of property, that's the fallacy here. And indeed, that's the same claim you make if you vote. and you expect others to honor the conditions of your voting outcome, right? You're expecting them to honor that that was a legitimate process, but at the end of the day, how do you know? You don't know what actually happened in 2020. So, to answer my question, how do you help Donald Trump become free? Well, be honest, be consistent, come clean, argue with principles and philosophy instead of politics, and tell his supporters to get smart. You know, these people you talk to, you really got to do better, because become more smart, more secure in philosophy. And then what will happen is Donald Trump and any Trump-like figures after him, they're going to have to cater to a smarter population. The problem is not him or what they're doing with him. The problem is us. The problem is you guys. You guys are like collectively very low IQ, very easy to fool people. Most people are very easy to fool. They're very naive. So if you raise your level of acumen, that's how you help Trump. You want to help him, you say, that's my president, and you know, I'll defend him. Well, you should start by raising your level of acumen and raising your level, and then your candidate will have to raise his level to match yours. Remember, this whole thing is, that's my whole point of talking about this. This is the way you help somebody. You stop worrying about what they're doing and you help yourself. You raise your own level, okay? You lead by example. That's what we need to do. We need more individual responsibility. Stop blaming others for political corruption and all this stuff. It's all about power. Take back control. You don't need them. I don't need nobody. I don't care about their laws or their decisions. And that's the difference. You know, why are politicians corrupt? It's because you're too weak and powerless to demand better. And I mean all of us, you, okay? I'm not really pointing the finger. I'm pointing the finger like this. We lack conviction to stand on principles. We fall into temptation of simplistic thinking. I talked to you guys for years, people who are 50 and 60, I'm talking to you guys. You guys know so much more about life than me, but you're like children in this case. I'm talking to you, I'm telling you, don't think simplistically. Don't worry about what they're doing. Don't worry about they're gonna assassinate that political candidate. You're still buying into the system that creates the gray area for people to do violence in the shadows. Shine the light on this world. Get the light into your life. Get your mind into a level where you're not fooled so easily. Don't let people do this. Don't just laugh at the liberals. If you really care about your country, you need to big up your chest and stand up like a man and start talking about this differently. You're still pushing the simplistic thinking that allows people to get tricked. If you really love this country the way I do, you really need to do better on a daily basis with what you believe and what you think and what you know about this world and how well you can argue it. Why do conservative politicians avoid the real issues, right? Why did Donald Trump totally buy into the vaccines and why does he totally support Israel? Why does he support transhumanism and all these big agencies and NASA? It's not because he's a bad guy. It's because we overall, each of us individually, we avoid the real issues in our own lives. So it's unreasonable to expect the candidate to tackle all the real issues that you don't tackle in your personal life. And that's why Trump pushes a simplistic worldview. It's because you want a simplistic worldview. You crave it. The simplistic worldview applies to you. Okay? Everything bad we see in the world, if we weren't supporting it ourselves, it wouldn't be this way. All of us need to do better. So big corporations are aligned with China and they bribe politicians and the media is fake news. Sure, I agree. But now this set of corporations isn't. GM isn't now. Why? The FDA isn't bad. Why? Supporting them is good somehow. And if you support them somehow, then you're supporting American industry. Why? Where's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Like, the real issues, you're trying to take a simplistic view there, but when it comes to draining the swamp and fake news, now all of a sudden you understand the entanglements of a corrupt globalist system. But where's the difference now? Right? You're high level intellectual here, you're very aware here, and then you're archaic and simplistic and ancient, old school in another sense. Why? Like, this is dualism. Be consistent in what you believe. Where is the difference? Oh, the migrants and illegals are the problem now? Why? What's the philosophical basis behind the so-called border invasion? The problem is not the migrants, but it's the Federal Reserve and their currency games that are being played. It's that they're taking money away from you, from your taxes. It's being taken away from the middle class and given to them. That's the problem. It's redistribution of resources. It's not about a physical border. The border has never been a physical barrier. The barrier has always been a lifestyle barrier, a cost of living barrier, and now they're working on that. They're doing redistribution of resources. Well, there's a philosophical ground for action when presented that way. That's how you need to present it. You say, I'm against this redistribution of resources and I'm not going to stand for it. That's how you're going to get the illegals out, not by nationalistic thinking. But no one presents it that way. You take the bait, all of you take the bait of nationality and race. And this is a deeper issue, it's just like with women. Men too often settle for something less. You settle for an inadequate and substandard version. Why do men do this? It's men and women, really, but I'm speaking like this because they themselves deep down feel they are inadequate and substandard. That's why you vote for these politicians. That's why the candidate you get is Trump and not somebody better, not somebody smarter, not somebody who's way better at actually getting some change done just by speaking. I've said so much in 36 minutes. This guy had 4 years. You could speak to the whole nation. Do you know how much truth you can say? Do you know how much you can change with that kind of access? But no. But it's not really his fault. I have to blame us. We settle for this because deep down that's what we're like. The funny thing is your candidate will always reflect the consciousness of the day because it's called a candidate. It's called a popular candidate. You take the popular vote, right? So the candidate is always going to reflect the character and personality of its people. Trump is a great representative of what most conservatives in America are. Yes, there are good parts to it. He's going to be upfront. He's going to be non-apologetic. He's going to say some things correctly, and he's for the most part going to be common sense. But at the same time, he's going to be what? Simplistic, right? Not well spoken. He's going to be not qualified for the job. He's not going to have the killer instinct to deal with these people, and he's going to talk a whole lot but not do a lot. And on the other hand, you have Biden, and that's really all I have to say about that. Impotent, completely not there, not living in the world of reality, soft-spoken, but completely without action, completely turning the world over to the real predators in the dark. Does that not represent red and blue perfectly? The candidates reflect the people who vote for them. We create our candidates. So yes, they're doing this to Donald Trump. We did this to him. We did this because we did not raise our level. We did not get smarter. We did not take more action when we had the chance, and we settled for a substandard version. And in other words, we settled for a cheap whore, just like Stormy Daniels. And Donald Trump, he tied his faith in with hers by playing his lawyer and money games with her. He did all that instead of standing on his decisions like a man, just being honest and real. Yeah, I did this, so what? He didn't need to pay that $150,000. Go ahead, sell your story and tell her about what we did together. So what? All the people that voted for him, would they not vote for him more? Why are we all trying to act like... It's like we want somebody to bullshit us. We want them to pretend they're holy. And Donald Trump was never holy. This was supposed to destroy his campaign. How? To me, it would make me vote for him more if I was going to. But no, he played those games, and now he has a problem with the outcomes of that. You can say you have a problem with the outcome if you argue on principle. Then you have a problem with the whole thing. And people have said, I'm going to wrap the show up, people have said, they've pointed, there's kind of two angles. One is the super simplistic one, which is, look what they're doing to him. They're trying to They're trying to destroy him. He needs our support more than ever before, right? This is one of these narratives, which is that they're totally wronging him. They're totally trying to attack him in any way they can. And clearly they don't want him to become president, so we should support him and vote for him. And hopefully, you know, if we battle against the odds, maybe against all odds, he can become president, which is the righteous thing that should happen. That's one. That's one narrative. The more nuanced and complicated narrative, closer to the truth, but not really, I see both of these narratives as false, is that through these attacks, yes, people obviously view him as a martyr, and the people that supported him and voted for him, and people even that didn't, who see through this sham and this demonization and this witch hunt, they're going to vote for him, they're going to support him, and that's being done on purpose, right? They're pushing him actually through these attacks. It's like these attacks, these, you know, these rubber bullets, but they're not real deadly shots, and that's actually going to make him become the president. And that's the game that the puppet masters are playing, that they actually want him in power. That's the other narrative. I see both of these narratives as childish. Again, this is simplistic thinking. This is dualistic thinking. All it comes down to is individual action. It's never been about Trump. It's always been about you. It's always been about what you're going to put up with. And, you know, goddamn, if I'm going to spend an hour of my Sunday talking about this, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to be real. I'm going to talk about principles. Stop letting the conversation go into different directions and being up in the air about political candidates. They've never been real. They've never actually had any power in your life. How you have power is with your level of knowledge and what you're willing to sacrifice to enforce your claim on your own property. People get smarter, and these candidates, they're going to work for us like the Constitution says they're supposed to. The cops will have to respect us. The army would have to do what the people say. It's all about you. If there's corruption, if the world is corrupted, and it is, I know it is, they're doing horrible stuff, which I don't even have time to talk about because it'll become a whole different thing. Yes, things are bad, things are corrupt. They're really bad. There are a lot of really bad people that we need out of positions of power. But the way it happens is with you, with individual action. More of us need to stand up for ourselves more. Where is the killer instinct in this country? And you talk about alpha males, I don't see them. I don't see them around. And that's it. And that's how you help Donald Trump. You need to become the alpha male. You think he's this great guy. You be the great guy. You be the example. You be somebody that I'd want to vote for. That's what we need to do. Lead by example. That's the only way to get out of any bad situation. You put your head down, you start working, and you day by day, you work towards a better outcome. You don't talk about it. You don't talk shit. Leave the shit talking and complaining to the women and children. And no disrespect to women, actually, because the point is, don't talk shit. Be an alpha. Actually change something. Yeah. Not no little boys club. Not no political party. I don't need anybody's help for anything. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna change things. That's the kind of people I want to be around. Yeah, that's it. So, thank you very much, and I see you next week on This Week in Tyranny.
In this tournament, the chosen few shall be triumphant, and the devil will be decapitated. So you can keep your ducats and your dresses. I won't be emasculated. In this world of scientific madness. Scientific madness. My status is the baddest.